You're losing the game, and you haven't even realized you're on the board. Your life is a chess game, but not one of those played elegantly on marble tables between glasses of wine and calculated looks. Yours is played in silence in the dark with pieces you don't know how to move and decisions that seem to come from fear rather than strategy. And the worst part, you don't know who you are in this game. The pawn, the queen, the spectator, or you are the king, and you're so distracted trying to seem strong, intelligent, or charismatic that you've forgotten the most important thing. Your purpose is to survive. Your role is to exist with intention. Your mission is to protect what is essential. You keep moving, as if victory is found in constant motion, rushing forward without purpose, without direction. But if you just listen for a moment, the king doesn't need to move much to hold power. He only needs to know who he is, but you don't. You wake up every day feeling like you have something to prove to someone, to everyone. You try to control the board, yet you haven't even learned to control your own mind. Let me say it again. You are the king, not because you're the strongest, not because you're the fastest. You're the king because without you, the game ends. And yet, you've handed your worth to pieces that vanish as quickly as they appear. Do you really believe success means having everything under control? Being everywhere at once, knowing all the answers? That's not strategy. That's just noise. Real strategy begins in silence, in knowing when not to move. It's in recognizing that not everything that glitters on the board is worth chasing. You've spent too long believing that displaying strength makes you untouchable. But tell me, how strong are you if you can't protect your peace? How far can you rise if you don't even know what you're reaching for? The issue isn't a lack of success. The issue is a lack of direction. Because if you don't know what you're defending, everything becomes a distraction. You know what a good player does? He doesn't start by studying the opponent. He starts by understanding his own king. He knows his limits, his position, and what's truly at stake. Because if you don't know who you are, you won't even recognize when you're losing. And that brings us to the question you should have asked yourself a long time ago. What are you really defending? Don't say your job, your image, your reputation. That's just air, smoke. What actually matters is what no one sees. Your mental health, your emotional balance, your values, your purpose. That is your real strength. That's what must never fall, because when that breaks, everything else crumbles with it. But you keep ignoring it. You bury it beneath empty goals and the need for validation, as if success is the sound of applause, not the quiet certainty within, as if admiration could ever bring you peace. But the truth is this: the world can cheer for you while you're falling apart inside. What's the point of a powerful queen if the king is on the verge of collapse? You've been playing this game like you're invincible, like it doesn't hurt, like you're a rook charging forward in straight lines without pause, but you're not. You're the king, and the king moves slowly. He watches, he protects, he survives. He doesn't win by charging. He wins by enduring, by knowing when to step forward and when to stand still. Because the king who moves without thinking is the first to fall. Do you get it now? Every time you betray yourself just to fit in, it's like moving your king into an invisible check. Every time you value their opinion more than your own truth, you leave your soul exposed. Every time you choose to pretend instead of feel, you lose a piece of yourself. And you still wonder why peace feels so far away. It's not complicated. You haven't built an inner castle. You've built walls on the outside. But inside, everything's collapsing. You've obsessed over external strategy and forgotten the most important truth. The real game is played within. It's not about knowing how to move others. It's about knowing what you're willing to sacrifice and what you refuse to lose. That's where self-knowledge begins. Because only someone who truly knows themselves can build a strategy that doesn't destroy them along the way. Only someone rooted in who they are can protect what's essential without mistaking it for the superficial. Because those who don't know their worth, they give everything for nothing. And do you know the worst part? Most of the time, you do it with a smile. How long will you keep trading your principles just to belong? How long will you keep disguising your anxiety as ambition? How long will you keep calling that constant, sleepless noise success? This isn't about winning. It's about holding on to what holds you. It's about protecting your core, even when everything around you is falling apart. Because if you lose the king, The game is over. Here's the brutal truth no one tells you. Your most dangerous enemy isn't in front of you. It's the one you've let inside. It's the unfiltered thoughts, the misunderstood emotions, the wounds you never healed. It's the quiet voice that sabotages you every time you're about to rise. And it doesn't scream. It whispers, "You're not ready. You're going to fail. Better stay where it's safe." And you listen, because the voice sounds familiar. You've repeated it for so long you think it's you, but it's not. You're the one hearing it. And if you're the one who hears it, you have the power to change what it says. Real leadership doesn't begin when you lead others. It begins when you learn to lead your own mind, when you quiet the voices of fear, when you choose clarity, even in the middle of chaos, because chaos doesn't disappear, it never has. What changes is you, your ability to move through it with purpose. And that strength is forged from within. The world applauds those who win, but it admires those who survive without losing themselves. Because success without peace, it's just noise, an echo in an empty room, a crown heavier than it's worth. So ask yourself, do you want to win at any cost, or do you want to endure without betraying who you are? Because only one of those leads to freedom. And no, this isn't about being untouchable. It's about knowing your weaknesses and guarding them with wisdom. It's about understanding you're not immune to pain, but you can be steady in the middle of it. It's about building a shield, not from pride, not from ego, but from unshakable principles, from purpose, from clarity. Because when you know what you're defending, you don't sell yourself at the first sign of attack. And here's the irony. The more you truly know yourself, the less you feel the need to prove anything. The clearer your center becomes, the less the chaos around you can shake it. The more you protect your king, the less you're consumed by the noise of the battle. True power isn't loud. It's not always visible. It's felt. It's the calm presence of someone who doesn't need to shout. It's the silence that unsettles those addicted to noise. It's the steady gaze that says, "I know who I am, and I won't move just because the world tells me to." So let me ask you, when was the last time you sat with yourself and asked, what is it that I really want to protect? Because until you answer that with full honesty, you'll keep moving out of habit, not out of strategy. And those who move by reflex, they lose. The real game isn't won by the one who moves the fastest. It's won by the one who knows what they will never sacrifice. And you. Do you know what you'll never give up? Because if you don't, every offer will feel like an opportunity, every voice will sound like truth, and every defeat will feel like the end. Our failures aren't what define you. What defines you is what you choose to protect, even when everything else feels like it's on the line. Protect your mind, protect your emotional balance, protect your integrity, protect your purpose. That's not selfishness, that's strategy, that's leadership, that's maturity. The king who endures isn't the fastest or the loudest or the one always in the spotlight. He's the most conscious. He's the one who refuses to trade what's essential for what's just urgent. The one who doesn't give up peace for applause. The one who doesn't chase recognition because he knows his value isn't rooted in being seen. And here's the final truth, the one that stings the most. If you don't protect your king, no one else will. You are the center. And if you fall, it doesn't matter how many pieces are still on the board. The game is over. So start today, not with dramatic moves, not with radical decisions. Start with something simple. Recognize yourself. Really look at yourself. Ask with brutal honesty, what am I neglecting that I should be protecting with everything I have? Because once you know that, you stop playing by inertia. You start playing with intention. And in that moment, even if you take just one small step, you've already won more than many who spend their lives moving aimlessly. Because real victory isn't about conquering the board. It's about not losing yourself in the process. And do you know the most common mistake of those who lose this game without ever realizing it? They think protecting what's essential means closing themselves off. They think building their inner kingdom means building walls. They think self-knowledge is an act of defense, but it's not. Self-knowledge is an act of power. Let me tell you something most people will never understand. Self-knowledge doesn't make you fragile. It makes you dangerous. Because when you know what you're not willing to lose, when you're clear on who you are and what you'll never compromise, you become unpredictable in a world built on manipulating the ungrounded. Look around. Look closely. Most people act out of fear, out of scarcity, out of that nagging feeling that something's always missing. And what does that do? It makes them easy to control. Touch their ego, they collapse. Deny them approval, they kneel. Offer them validation, they sell out. But there's one kind of person who doesn't play by those rules. The one who's done the inner work. The one who's faced their shadows and made peace with them. You can't dominate that person. You can't lure them with applause. You can't scare them with rejection, because they've already lived it all. Inside. They don't need to belong. They already belong to themselves. So if any part of this hit you like a silent shot, if even one phrase made you close your eyes and think, "This is what I needed to hear," then subscribe. Because this isn't just content. We're not here to entertain you. We're here to wake you up, and believe me, this doesn't end here. From this moment on, every move you make will be different, because you're no longer moving just to move. You're moving with intention, and that is what sets you apart from the crowd.